Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now we are joined by, let's quickly get all of these buttons pressed, lights turned off so I can see everything. Arwin, Righteous Force, Brian's Logic, Neil Constantino, 10th Man Rising, Matthew Eastman, a whole bunch of people in Discord. Welcome, one and all.
About time somebody got the pronunciation right.
Yeah, I thought I'd get it right at least once. It's fairly reasonable.
If that was right, I'd like for you to tell me a German dish instead of an Italian dish.
Oh, sorry.
Good morning, everybody.
Bratwurst's that all about? Anyway. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge that's a horizon formerly known as Earth curvature?
Formerly known.
A great one. Well, the last boat that went over it. Get the proof.
The last boat went over the physical geometric tangent point sphere edge horizon was in 2020. Boats have ceased to go over the geometry of Earth curve. Now they go over refraction, leaving the geometry dead in the water without a tangent. How's that geometric horizon working out for you, Prof. Phil Bell, Roofy, and Toon? Well, good? Straight line, tangent, all good? Yeah, not so good now it's refracted, eh? It's only taken them 3 years.
So Brian's here. 7 over 6 hours, the minimum refraction, but how far can they go, Brian?
It's infinite, the amount they can go to. What I mean is that they'll go... It's kind of funny because can they go as far as making their globe onto the plane? They can if they need to. 3,845 over 6 hours. That's pretty close to their globe being horizontal plane.
Well, they do. Every time they do celestial navigation, they do it.
When we talk about having 300 million over 6R or 7 over 6R standard terrestrial refraction, we're only talking about how light bends in an orthographic Muppet Vision representation of a sphere on a page that's called Earth. It's not representative of reality in any way, shape or form. There are no tangent points to geometric horizon edges in reality. They even tell us how non-geometric the horizon in reality is when they tell us it's refracted, when they look at pictures of the Black Swan. Now we're pointing out how that breaks their geometry. They're pointing out how their geometry's broken when they say it's refracted.
Well, also they don't have refraction. The proper definition of refraction. When a straw goes into a glass of water, it goes from air into a different medium. When is that happening?
Well, what they're claiming is not real refraction. It's just a word they use to excuse why the horizon doesn't adhere to their model. That's all it is. Refraction. You know, how come the horizon doesn't adhere to your model? Refraction. You know, and it seems that they've had to claim that refraction happens all the time, as in never. We would have to have no air or temperature, which means we wouldn't exist, for their refraction not to happen. So they never had a geometric horizon, and they never will. That's the truth.
Is this why Fight the Flat Earth says my hand isn't where it actually is?
No, that's because he's confusing actual refraction with some crazy idea he has. That's like the bendy cranes, as Arwin says. That's actual refraction. The bendy cranes is actual refraction. What they're claiming is not that. They're convoluting the two things and intertwining them when they're two. One is real and one is not. Like the horizon is already an optical phenomenon. It's already an optical phenomenon. How do you refract an optical phenomenon? They had to start saying the horizon was like, they basically had to start saying that an optical phenomenon was half physical, but it's always refracted. You know, there's no coherent logical way around it. You know, and the worst thing is they have told me, and I've literally been told this in my comments, that boats do sail over refracted horizons. Nathan was saying that as kind of a tongue-in-cheek joke a few minutes ago, but I have actually been told that more than one time.
They've said it, verbalised it, boats go over the refracted horizon. Well, then it's not geometric. So on screen now, got Craig. Now, the reason he's saying what bulge in this speech bubble is because in his idiotic manner, he decried us describing the bulge of the physical geometric tangent point horizon as labelled on screen with the word bulge. So he's saying when flat earthers say that you've got a bulge, they're just straw man. No. That is actually their claim. Meanwhile, as you can see in this diagram, you've got a physical tangent point to that bulge where it's marked with an X labelled horizon. Right, this is a straight line required for the geometry. It's all based on geometry, and you need this tangent. Now, the moment in 2020 that they responded to the Black Swan by saying it's refracted, they bent this line. Now, this line is their tangent point necessitated in the geometry to Earth curve, the thing they say blocks boats and buildings. Now, as amusing as it might have been for me to string together McToon and his response to the Black Swan saying it's refracted, right next to him in an awkward position describing angle measurements and corrections, saying the line to Earth curve is always straight. Yeah, because those two contradictory positions cannot simultaneously exist alongside each other. To have a claim of Earth curve, you must have the ability to put through the maths of the geometry of the tangent. Because what is the tangent point? Earth curve. It's labelled here as horizon. Now, the sagittar that runs from the point on the ground on the edge of the sphere where you're standing regardless of elevation to the point where you're claiming to take a feet and inches value of hidden, that's a chord line that runs from the 2 points. Now, that chord line at the centre point has something marked in this diagram as the bulge. Now, that would be the physical obstruction between you and the target when in Muppet vision. Muppet vision is you seeing the side of your own head and the target simultaneously. Ultimately speaking, this geometry is tangent-based. Without a straight line to the horizon, aka it's refracted, you haven't got any geometry to make a claim of Earth curve. Ergo, Earth curve dies at the geometric horizon. I'm done.
Well, I don't think they actually had, even if the horizon conformed to that, you see eye level in that depiction?
You mean this straight line here? Yeah, in some of the mathematics they have two. They have eye level and parallel with it, surface level. Now, this particular diagram doesn't have surface level, but it does indeed have eye level, a necessity for a level. Being level within their geometry. So when they tell us that levels aren't level, I'm going to a different place that John perhaps is. We'll find out in a second. I'll actually not steal your thunder. Go ahead, John.
Well, the problem is their surface level and eye level isn't parallel. So whatever depiction this is, it's not of reality.
Indeed, but there's a claim amongst glerfs that level isn't level. Level means curved, and their geometry is still geometric in its nature. It still has principles applied to it that will always hold true. In this case, level is a straight horizontal line in this geometry. So to assert that, oh, well, because it's level, measured, used, built on, navigated, level actually means curved. No, it doesn't, even in their own geometry. That's where I was going with that. Any further points? If not,
Well, what I was saying though is you can't have eye level be straight and surface level be curved. It's like you're changing the meaning of the word level in the same depiction. You make your entire drawing meaningless.
indeed. It's a geometric principle that must hold true. It can't simultaneously have an equivocation in mathematical terms or geometric terms or even in language terms. If level means level, it can't simultaneously mean curved, not level.
The when you said the geometric horizon dies at the horizon, right? And then if refraction is where they go, they're just agreeing with you.
Yeah, we're saying you don't have any earth curve geometry, the maths fails. And they say, yeah, we haven't got a tangent point, it's refracted. You go, yeah, that's our point. You're snatching your own wig off when you say refraction because you need a tangent. Refraction, look at the bendy cranes. Yeah, you're a bit short-sighted. Saying that the cranes are bent, therefore it's all refracted, means you don't have a tangent for your geometry of earth curve. Earth curve is the geometry at a tangent point on screen now, marked with horizon. That is earth curve. This is earth curve maths. It does require straight lines and that level be level in order to assert that there's a tangent point based horizon below surface level, as absurd as that sounds. It doesn't exist in
How
reality.
else would you know the radius?
Well,
Nathan, I got the picture for you, Master D.
Well, you've got to derive the radius using the same straight lines that they also decry upon saying it's refracted.
Right. So how did they get the R value then?
They didn't.
Right?
Another geometric debunking. The moment you bend this line on screen now, you can't get the derivation of R al-Biruni is claimed to have measured because you no longer have a straight line. Further to that, oh, check it out. In this one, it does have surface level as well as eye level. Is that why you brought this one up? Thank you very much, 10th. But you need this to be a straight line. This is a tangent point. That's earth curve.
Yeah, this one you're showing is from Mick West's Earth Curve Calculator.
But in Mick West's
And that's
Earth
the one.
Curve Calculator, it makes it plain. You need surface level. And earth curve exists below surface level. Doesn't exist in reality. It's only in this maths. It's nonsense. Go ahead.
Well, actually, in those maths, it's just a misinterpretation. They've not brought the correlation point up to surface level to show you the size of your viewing circle, your flat plane viewing circle. So it's an incomplete mathematical concept that they're using as a tangent. They're just doing it wrong.
Right. You
Alrighty.
can only have a globe model if you derive your measurements from a flat plane.
Precisely, and well said, Arwin. Exactly. The globe model and geometry, mathematics, all of it is predicated, is that the right word? On a flat Earth surface to measure in the first instance. It's a prerequisite that we have a flat Earth to assert that we were on a globe.
I just want to make a little, I don't know, I won't call it a correction. It kind of is, right? You said, and here you say a lot that al-Biruni or whoever has a curved line, they're trying to have a curved tangent to an horizon. No, that's not what's actually happening in our maths. This is why, if you listen to, and I heard Akuma virus saying it, that no, the line of sight is always straight, or the tangent's always straight at one point. And people look past them at the time of what he was saying. What's actually happening is al-Biruni, let's just say, did have a straight line to an horizon, but the horizon he was using to send that straight line to was a refracted horizon. So no matter what he would have come up with, it was wrong because he's using an horizon that is not in the position, that's not in a geometric position, if you understand. So no matter what he would have done, or whatever calculation he came up with, if he existed or anything, or if he did that, I think he did exist, but if he actually did that, the point is that I could do the same thing, and I'll use a straight line tangent to the horizon today. But the horizon that I'll be referencing is not geometric. So what's the point? I can't do geometry if the horizon is not geometric.
Precisely.
Yeah.
That is the perfect summary. You can't do geometry if the horizon is not geometric. So when they assert that they're performing Earth curve geometry, excuse me, you have told us the horizon is not geometric. I mean, props to Planner Walk, the total moron, for making it absolutely abundantly clear that nobody's expecting to see the geometric horizon, end quote. Because I can trim that out and play it at nausea. Same with AB science. Yeah? We are not going to see physical geometry, end quote. Little smile. Yeah, damn right. Well, then you can't do geometry, you bonehead.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you're not understanding what I'm saying. The geometric horizon is still a flat plane horizon. They're just not understanding that they're using the differential between two flat planes to derive it.
I understand it, John. I understand what you mean. I actually put in a video together about it. No, I understand it. Well, what John is saying is that all you're doing is referencing different sizes of flat circles. You're still using a depression angle. You still have to use two horizontals. They're just pre-assuming that it's a curve, but it's not a curve.
It's not that we don't. It's not that we don't get you, John. It's more that we want you to say it again and again and again and again and again, because the differential between surface level and eye level is what gives them the ability to claim in the mathematics that they've got a second horizon existing below the surface level. In other words, it's a derivation of a flat plane from a horizontal parallel line of sight, and the differential as you raise in elevation. That's a flat plane extrapolation. So we get it. I just want you to repeat it always. That is one of the finest death nails there is.
Yeah, what the Earth curve calculator is actually a flat plane circle calculator.
Yep. You need a flat plane for it to function. And what you're extrapolating out, if you say we're on a spherical surface, which is probably where you're saying now, I don't know if you're following what we're saying, because we're taking it to the level where, no, the extrapolation is still very much in the forefront of the minds of anybody claiming it. This actually means the horizon is what is represented in front of me when I open my eyes and look at a tangent point on, begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator, below the surface level, with a dotted line that says surface level. It's like, it's not truth in plain sight or them having Jupiter's delight by putting it in there. It's necessary. It's part of the maths. Same with level. Level being level.
Let's not forget the official story of the possible story that Alberuni didn't know anything about refraction. So what John is saying is he went up on the mountain after measuring the mountain from a flat plane, as we know he did that. And then from the top of the mountain, he had an eye line horizontal, and then he had a depression angle to the flat plane that he used to measure the mountain, and he didn't know anything about refraction. So what did he actually measure, if he did?
He calculated the increase of his viewing circle. That's all he did.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what. Sorry, John. Let you finish.
Oh yeah, just I had to add on a flat plane that people would get confused.
Sorry, I cut off John there. No, it doesn't matter what he measured because the horizon wasn't geometric. So
exactly.
He didn't measure anything.
That summary is always going to be the most important summary, Brian. Doesn't matter. Well, it's not geometric. You're telling us it's not geometric. So why are you asserting this geometry? You're not talking about geometry when you're talking about a refracted horizon. Well, that's the end of your assertion that we've got this geometry to be claimed. What geometry, you ask? Earth curve? Well, shout out to Godzilla37, who says, quote, This hand is not where I see it, while I hold it in front of my own face, end quote. Fighting the flat earth with every bit of unicorn available. Thanks, Craig. Really appreciate the super chat. Thanks, Godzilla37.
I said that for a reason, because as we know, if he had done this on a foggier day or a better day where he could see further, he would have had a total of 3 different so forth measurements or calculations. So does the earth move and change if it's geometric?
No. There's a certain eloquence required to be an advanced level anti-flat earther / heliocentrist that certain individuals do not possess. Craig being one of them, right? That example, when you talk about people who have openly and overtly declared that we're looking at a refracted horizon, or the horizon isn't geometric, those people are bull-jitsu, smashing their own face in with their own fist. That's what they're doing, because they don't appreciate how devastating the assertions of refraction of the horizon actually are, how it destroys their ability to make a geometric claim anymore, like Toon recently found out, right? When he said, oh, it's a straight line to the horizon, everybody around him went, we got him, let's trim that out. Yeah, because they all knew instantly that you've all spent 3 years telling us it's refracted. Now, while Craig will have gone, oh, you can't see my hand in front of my face, it's not really where I see it. Right, so we're not going to be taking geometric measurements then to assert that Earth curves blocking boats and buildings with a very specific amount of feet and inches that you'll assert. Yeah? We can't do that anymore then, because it's not where we think it is. It's all refracted. Yeah, he didn't understand when he said that, the subtle annihilation of the globe geometry that could be pulled out of those words if it's not done in a subtle way. Now, as much as Rumpus may be perceived to be very unsubtle, his bravado, over-the-top rumpusing, being loud, being obnoxious, being boisterous, were all done so he could conjure up the subtlety needed to lose devastating disclaimers like refracted horizons in a subterfuge of rumpusing. Because certain things can't just be overtly disclaimed, like Toon found out. You can't just say, as was pointed out to him by Sinclair, you can't just say there's a straight line to the horizon anymore. Well, yeah, there it is in the maths. That's what they're asserting. But yet, as an anti-flat earth, they can't just say that, because they have to dance a very, very carefully choreographed dance in order to negotiate the pitfalls of making an assertion that you're on a sphere at the advanced level. You can't just say the horizon's refracted, but simultaneously you can't just say there's a straight line to it. There's a lot of minds to negotiate if you want to retain heliocentric faith in the age of flat Earth. You know, and Craig doesn't have that ability. Go ahead, along with a lot of others. Go ahead.
Sorry, but then you hear Hop in the background saying, there are no straight lines on a globe, you moron.
Yeah.
Well, this is why
Nobody claimed you could see physical geometry.
That's planet
this
walk.
is why this is all a thought experiment.
Well, let me promote my most recent video, right? So a bit of self-promotion, right? But also it's related to the topic. I show using a triangle that starts in Seattle, goes to New York, and from New York goes to California, and then back to Seattle. That's 3 straight lines, right? I show using a right triangle calculator that the distances that are given by Google Earth match the right triangle calculator. Now, if Google Earth even was referencing a globe, then those straight lines, technically, those straight lines, at least one of them, well, all of them have to be chord lengths. They can't be the actual correct distances. They can't be, because there's no straight lines on the globe. Any straight lines have to be a chord length, which means they all have to be short. That triangle that I created must be shorter in perimeter, a whole lot shorter than the actual given distances. But it's not. It's actually, what actually happens is that with my use of Google Earth, I always end up with a triangle. When I use the triangle calculator, it always ends up being slightly bigger than even what I originally started with.
Pause for 1 sec.
So
Just pause for 1 sec. On screen now. So what Brian's saying is when you calculate the distances, the only way that they actually function would be to segment off part of the sphere, leaving you with a flat distance. This line. Yeah, what Brian described earlier as a chord line. Whereas if you calculated the distance over a curved surface, ignoring that they're going to have to and do measure it as the chord length distance, they would end up with this extra distance over the hump of the Earth, which isn't calculable and isn't calculated, and if it was, it would be longer. So Brian's saying they have to calculate it with this straight line, and the only way they get to that in terms of reification of a sphere into what could be perceived to be our reality would be to tunnel through Earth. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Is that the only way this can work is that if Google is referencing actual horizontal distances, it has to be using a flat map. That's the only way it could work. So, like, they have to throw Google out under the bus again, you know, because no matter what it shows you, it's not referencing curved distances. It's not because there's no way for me to do that. I even started off those type of videos a few days beforehand using LIGO, the Hanford LIGO station, which is an exact right triangle. Then I started making right triangles using the headings. It's like the whole point is that can't happen if Google Earth is based on a globe and it's referencing a globe, then that can't happen. It's geometrically not possible. That's that. Thank you.
Cool. Okay, right. We're going to do a bit of Michio Kaku. So we've been covering a couple of minutes worth of this in the pre-show. So obviously, if you remember, once this video is finished, or if it crashes, and I upload what we've got remnants of it onto the members bit of the Nathan Oakley 1980 channel, then check it out after. But for everyone else, it'll come out. What day is it today? Wednesday or Tuesday? Tuesday. It'll come out end of this week on the second channel. Subscribe today if you didn't want to become a member, but you don't want to watch the pre-show or after show. Anyway, as always, go and let this particular videographer, which is Future Space, know that we're responding to their video. So a link will be going by in the live stream chat. The idea being that were they to respond to me, they'd return the favour, share in the algorithmic love, and put a link to Nathan Oakley 1980's video. So, as you can see, there's a link going by to this particular videographer. Go and let them know with a comment that says something to the effect of, @Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me because we responded to your video, or something to that effect. Something that makes sense. Something that isn't horrible and will get removed immediately by the videographer. So just let them know, @Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, and you can see the first couple of minutes in the pre-show in a few days on the second channel, or as a member later on today. But we're going to get into this, and all the lines are open, so if you did want to interrupt at any point because you've got something to add on one of the panels, feel free.
And that we're just a figment of Albert Einstein's wild imagination. While that was great, it also meant that there was this unreal entity in space that we urgently needed to know more about.
Unreal, you say? Didn't you just create it from a mathematical concept in fourth-dimensional space-time and then decide that what you saw at the centre of some lights was actually the black hole that you'd conjured?
Nathan, may I summarize, please, just for those who missed but they'll catch it later, is that this video is about Michio Kaku saying, finally, since 1915, we've been waiting for this, an actual photograph. Now, of course, they never show an actual photograph of this black hole, and then the rest you can take over.
So researchers all around the world got to work. This black hole was named Cygnus X1, and it is located in the constellation Cygnus, about 6,000 light years from Earth, and it...
You'll need an R value for that assertion. You'll need Venus to have the same R value as Earth in that assumption. You'll need Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion to be applicable for the scaling values when applying Huygens' assumption of Venus's sphericity and R value assumption being identical to Earth's R value assumption to make that distance claim.
It was no small discovery.
It wasn't a discovery. Go ahead.
Also, they'll need the celestial sphere model of a flat plane to apply those distances in. So they'll need a flat Earth for that as well.
It's about 14 times brighter than the sun and incredibly dense, which causes...
So, just out of interest, guys on the panel and anybody in Discord, name for me, in your personal experience, any star that is, quote, brighter than the sun. Go.
I'm more curious about the density. How did he know it was so dense?
I'm
Did
not
he
interested
just
in that. I'm
assume
interested in.
that out of nothing?
I'm going to pick
No, the
out of it the
brightness-
bit that my audience can perceive with their very own eyes based on what's just been described. We might not get through to them with pseudo-Ramonian force-space time bending into geodesics that pull time in a dimensional form into the centre of light swirling around when you look at them in a telescope. But when I say to them, name a star that is, as described here, quote, brighter than the sun. I'd like anybody to name one, please.
But see, you know what? There's a problem. They leave out a couple of words at the end of everything they say. They don't add in our model. That's what they did. Because in their model, there are stars that are brighter than the sun. But in reality, obviously, there isn't.
That's a no from Brian then. Anybody else
Hold on a
experience any
second.
stars
Hold
brighter
on.
than the sun?
Hold on a second. What do you mean in their model? Like, because don't they have to show me that it's brighter than the sun? I don't care what the model says. There's nothing brighter than the sun when I look up.
Neil, it's
Okay, let me
in our
let me
model.
explain, Neil. Let me explain what Brian said, and he's absolutely correct. Imagine that I put a candle in my window in the dead of night. No moon, no stars, it's very dark, pitch black. There's a candle. Would you agree that you can back away from that candle to about, let's just say arbitrarily, for the sake of this argument or discussion, that it's about a mile? You get away from the candle about a mile, and you can just make out the flickering light. Yeah? Just for the sake of discussion, Neil. Now let's say
Yes.
that a car headlight, yeah, is visible at 6 miles away. So if it's 6 miles in the distance, you can still see the light. But it's about the same by perception as the candle at a mile. Are you with me so far? Yes, Nathan, I'm following along nicely. So glad you're breaking this down. Oh, thank you, Neil. I'm glad you've given me some encouragement. Anyway, so given that the two are at different distances and obviously a headlight's brighter than a candle, and they're both perceived to be about the same brightness, you can say, given the distance, the headlight is brighter than the candle. Yeah? Now
Yes,
let's
I was
say,
carrying a ladder, I'm sorry.
nearly done. Now let's say that you bring the candle to within 1 foot of your eyeball versus the car headlight at, what did I say, 6 miles away. You would agree that the candle is brighter by perception, but the headlight is still definitely the brighter of the two lights. Would you agree, Neil?
He's working. He can't talk. He's moving
Yes,
a ladder.
Yes, I can, but I can't talk right
Oh,
now.
okay,
I'm nodding along.
fine. Well, it doesn't matter anyway. I just needed a bit of affirmation for the sake of the audience. But there we go. So given that hopefully everybody's still following along, even though Neil's completely shattered my illusion of a discussion taking place, we'll concede that in their model, the sun is the equivalent of the candle right in front of your face. Very bright, very hot, but not actually that powerful of a light. Whereas this distant, by way of heliocentric assumption with Kepler's third law and Huygens' assumption of Venus having the same R and Earth having an R value, their light is in a very distant position, therefore brighter than the sun, as scale and star goes. Sun being a star, very close, therefore perceivably brighter, but the star far away is much bigger and much brighter and much more powerful and more dense and all the rest of it, based on their assumption of scale and Huygens and Kepler. Okie dokie. Hope we all got that clear. Brian was absolutely correct. Shouldn't have needed breaking down, but Neil did ask and then buggered off immediately.
Are there any
Well,
photographs? Are there any photographs of their model?
Photographs
This is
of their
the whole
model?
video.
No. But look, the thing about it is with their model, something my point flat earth does doing all the time, right? And I listen to when I hear the debates go on and stuff, is that They're arguing with somebody about what happens, and that somebody is arguing within the realm or the paradigm of their model, but they're not adding in the statement "in my model" at the end of whatever claim they're making. So the flat earther is actually wrong when they're trying to argue against the point, unless the flat earther states in your model you're talking about. Yeah, Grant, in your model, yeah, that's totally true, but in reality, it's not. So
Exactly.
that's the problem. So, yeah.
I just want to, it's the same point as last time that I praised you. I'm going to do it again because it's very, very, very pertinent. What Brian's saying is the main trick that flat earthers get duped by is arguing within the context of Earth being a sphere, or a sphere Earth in a heliocentric presupposed orbital motion, or Earth as a presupposed sphere in an orbital motion in a bent geodesic in space-time. Whenever you're arguing with somebody, ask yourself the question, am I arguing with them about reality? That's why I've stopped at this point and gone, what's the guy asking and telling? He's saying, this star's brighter than the sun. So that's something that I can get the audience to step back from and focus on. In order to let my brain accept that a little tiny twinkly light in the sky is brighter than the sun, conceptually I must go through all of the steps that beg the question of a sphere Earth in an orbital motion around the sun with the stars being very distant at the descriptions and distances given to you by the model. Do you actually perceive it? No. You can only conceptualize it. So once you recognise, as Brian's pointing out, that when they don't strap on the "in my model" bit, there's a transition for you as an opponent, a flat earther, that you must recognise. You're transitioning from a description in a model to what you can now argue about actual reality being or not being. That's a clever trick that's introduced by the way our opponents automatically assume that they are just standing on a sphere because they're so very effectively brainwashed throughout the entirety of the Western world. So you've got to recognise that the opponent doesn't know that's even occurring. They don't know there's a step between what's being described in the model and how that model is supposed to be representative of actual physical reality. Now, the two can't be the same. One would be a reification if you described it as the other. So therefore, where does the segue happen? And Brian keeps pointing it out at this point, at the point that they don't add on, because why would they, in my model. In my
What model?
Yeah, what model?
Don't ruin Brian's point. 100 people watching though, and thank you to Flat Earth Travolta for gifting the memberships. Woo woo woo.
Yeah.
That's my point, Chewy.
Good morning, guys.
Are they going to like show a bunch of flat Earth models and then say that's a globe? I bet you they will.
I would be willing to accept photographic evidence of a model.
You want a picture of the model?
I wouldn't.
I wish I was funny.
What kind of model? You're talking Claudia
I want a
Schiffer.
picture of the model.
Okay,
Oh,
now
the
we're all
math,
going to
yeah.
disseminate what their model is. Right, the model that they perceive they have in their mind's eye that isn't presentable beyond the begging the question, proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator in this instance.
So we have
There is
to
no
point
model.
out what. So we have to point out what's in their mind.
No, oh, I've got the curve calculator on screen.
Curve calculator is
I
acceptable.
Oh,
let
this is really nice. Thank you for this. And you could move on with your point in a second. Just hold on. Do you have the clip with Fight the Flat Earth and the other numpties talking about the bulge and flat earthers' claims?
I'll dig it out if you can buy me some time.
Yeah, I'll buy you some time. I want you to send that to me. This is very ironic because I just went back in the Wayback Machine and took it off his website in 2017 with the bulge in it, just like it's on screen right now.
Kiri, are we buying a concept or are we buying time? Come on.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, y'all. I sent something in the main chat. I want y'all to look at it. It's a snapshot.
Oh God, going off in 10 different directions.
No. It's about I went over there and I said Nathan Oakley sent me, blah 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 blah. And there's a comment underneath mine. It lets you see the profound lunacy of these people that follow this, what this person literally said. And they're dead serious. And look at all the likes they got from what he said. Just read if you get a chance.
Just tell us. Don't.
How infatuated they are and obsessed with these black holes.
Tell us. Tell us. You can't just tell us to go
Oh.
to look at some. Man, this is live broadcasting, man. Some people get it.
My bad.
Tell us.
Let me read it to you. Can I read it to you?
Yes,
Can I read
please.
it to you,
Yes,
what he
that would be
said?
great.
Oh, he says his name is Tone Zohoya Ho whatever 7588. For the sake of humanity and science. I'm sorry. He said, for the sake of humanity and science, I'd be willing to be a guinea pig and sacrifice myself to go inside a black hole. I don't want $1 billion. I don't want a mansion. I don't want a new car. I just want a statue for my sacrifice. He got 2.2 K likes for saying that.
Told you what the problem is. It's indoctrination.
Before we
Yeah.
get away from this model thing, the Earth curve calculator, or what they call the Earth curve calculator, is not a spherical model. There's eye level and sea level in that, so they're going to have to find a different model.
Yeah, and when it's not referencing eye level and sea level, which it always is, it's trying to reference a circle, not a sphere.
Yeah, can you send that to me in Ballbusters or personally, Nathan, please? And
I've
then you
got the
can move
little
on with
clips.
the show.
I will
Sorry to
send
interrupt.
it to you. Yes, in Ballbusters.
Thank you.
Momentarily. Thank you for asking me to do it while I'm running a live show. Always a pleasure.
I can't get you. You always close out and leave in the after show.
Yes, let's discuss this now.
Yeah, you flat lever.
Okay, right. Shout out
Good
to
one, Chocolate.
James Richard, who says, Earth curve calculator, can you show me the chapter where perspective is calculated? It isn't. So the way you know, thank you for the super chat, James Richard, the way you know that it's not calculating for perspective is when they detail what you're looking at. So they'll tell you, for example, there's 5 feet of building missing. That's Earth curve getting in the way, precluding you seeing 5 feet of a 100-foot building. Okay. What about if the building was 5 times further away? Well, it's still going to be a 100-foot building. The description of the building does not change with distance in Earth curve maths. It's always 100 feet. If it's a 100-foot building, obviously. Well, that description means that it's excluding angular relationships with your perception of the building. Now, that angular relationship is perspective, but it's completely hijacked. So there's a reason it's called the perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator in my little amble about what it is. Well, that amble is exactly describing how they've taken the effects of perspective and called them Earth curve. Hashtag shit shrinks. Not in Earth curve maths, 100-foot buildings are 100-foot at all distances. That's why you have the misapprehension, again, like I was talking about Craig, not realising the subtlety of talking about refracted horizons when they need tangents. There's another subtlety missed on a lot of anti-flat earthers, which is where they assert that if you're a flat earther, we should see Australia, or we should see New York from Ireland. It's like, do you not realise that things get smaller into the distance? Clearly not, because in your maths they don't. So when you straighten out the only obstruction to anything getting obscured or disappearing from view, that's Earth curve in their maths, when you straighten that line out and use the same maths, then a 100-foot building without an Earth curve obstruction is visible at 1 million miles in those maths. It never disappears. The only thing that makes it disappear in Earth curve maths is Earth curve, because there is no perspective. Nothing changes with distance. It's a 100-foot building at any distance. Thank you for the super chat. There's a couple more super chats. Just want to read out the last couple of super chats. Also, shout out Godzilla37. Since we can't get Craig to an actual black hole, can we just dig a 6-foot hole, pour black paint into it, and add Craig? Can we, please? No death threats. Thank you for the super chat. Also, shout out to Original D-Rose. My apologies, Nathan, fellas, for such an abrupt interjection, interrupting your flow. For that, I bid you, Nathan, $5. I'm easily bought. I'm a total whore.
Next time it's going to cost 10.
Neil's my pimp, it seems. Thanks for the super chats. Go ahead.
Just that point you made a minute ago. You know, when the psychology of when they would say, if Earth was flat, we'd be able to see Australia from wherever, right? that, right, because their next sentence after that, and I remember them saying this, and I remember YouTube video has been made by idiots saying this, because there would be nothing obstructing it, right? Now, a limit to your vision is not an obstruction. A limit to your vision is an impedance, not an obstruction. So they're literally inside their own minds believing that there is an obstruction, if you understand what I mean. And they
Not
try
exactly.
to put that
Impedance means restriction.
Yeah, but it's
Not
not
a-
an obstruction, is it?
Not until not until you put
hold
one
on.
of them on.
Hold on, Chocolate. Where you're saying restriction, you're talking about not necessarily a restriction, but a limitation. So when you say restricted, when you're talking about the Rayleigh criterion, the restriction would be in the lens, but it's not a restriction of the lens, it's a limitation of the lens. So impedance is the wrong word.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, I'll just go with limitation, right? It's a limitation. But you're not obstructed from seeing something. That's the point. So when they would say, if Earth was flat, we should be able to see Australia from Ireland because there would be no obstruction, is kind of psychologically them admitting that we don't account for perspective in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, but it's not
And
obstruction. It's
we're then going to-
concealment.
Yeah, but it is. Yeah,
the right
yeah,
word.
okay. But we're then going to go back away from how it's not flat in this example that they're making to talking about the obstruction that's there because it's a globe. So them saying because there's no obstruction if it was flat is like a straw man argument or something, or some kind of I don't know what to call it, because I don't know if you could even call it a straw man, because they're pre-assuming an obstruction to begin with.
But I'll tell you what, Brian, if I said something like you should be able to see Ireland from New York, and then when you accept that you can't, I show you a flat earth calculator that has a horizon below sea level, would you think I was crazy?
What, like the Earth curve calculator?
Yes, John.
What John's saying is, if I take a flat Earth calculation in visual format that says that a differential between surface level, that's the level of the surface, and eye level can give you an inference of a second horizon, physical geometric horizon below the surface level, would that be insane? And I'm going to go with yes. But the Western world's been indoctrinated to think that that represents the world they live on when they talk about how many feet and inches will be blocked from something that hasn't changed in size when it's got further away from them. So for them, it represents sanity, pain relief, in fact, because it seems only anti-flat earthers. Before, just a quick question on the panel. Before you got to flat earth, how many people here, any of you, had any interaction with earth curve calculators prior to becoming a flat earther?
Not me.
I never did.
I didn't even know there was one.
I did. I did hear it was out there.
I did.
Okay, well, we'll go with Arwin first. What was your interaction, Arwin, before flat earth?
Well, I wasn't really into flat Earth at the time, but it's just like, yeah, it's there. It's a mathematical thing that makes me not very interested. That was my response.
You just saw
But I
one.
did know it was there.
That you just knew about it. That's fair enough.
Right.
Okay. What about you, John? What was your interaction with Earth curve calculator?
GPS application.
I'll do one second. We will come. Hold on. We will come to you in a second, Rebel. Go ahead, John. What was your interaction?
Surveyors calculate the angle to the horizon with it, but that has nothing to do with the distance.
Oh, hold on. I've just figured out what's going on. I was about to describe, before you and Arwin were not ruining my point, but, saying that you had interaction with it. Was your interaction, just to clarify now, as an anti-flat earther before being a flat earther? Because I was going to say it was for pain relief for anti-flat earthers.
No, you can calculate the angle to the horizon based on your altitude using it.
He's not asking you that. He's asking you, did you go to the Earth curve calculator when you were an anti-flat earther?
Or before?
Well, yeah, but I used it before that. That's what I asked.
Well, that's the bit that interests me. Before any of this, in other words, before you were a flat earther or anti-flat earther harassing Morgile, before that, you had interaction with the Earth curve calculations and calculators prior to that, yes?
Yeah.
For what?
Calculating the angle to the horizon based on altitude.
For what purpose?
Yeah, like the angle won't be below surface level.
But for what practical application?
Well, the surveyors was actually using it, but I was with them when they were doing it.
The surveyors, hold on, what? The surveyors,
what?
Hang on a second. This needs unpacking. That's a lot to take in
Wait,
one
they use
sentence.
an Earth curve calculator to survey?
Hold on a second, Neil. Go ahead.
What did they do with the calculation to put it into practical application? Do you know specifically?
They established a horizontal.
They established the horizontal by using the Earth curve calculator?
The angle to the horizon, but it's pre-calculated based on your altitude.
The angle to the horizon. Really?
Yep.
How and why and what? Who, what, when, where, why, and how with that? What does that have to do? I'm lost. Sorry.
If you don't know all right, say you don't know anything about anything, right? How would measuring an angle to the horizon help you establish a horizontal?
How would the angle to the horizon, the angle of my head, my eyes?
No, the differential between eye level and the horizon that you measure.
A differential? I don't.
He's asking you about what they call a dip angle measurement. That's what Rumpus used to call the Earth curve calculator. And from what I'm reading between the lines, John, what you're saying that if you've got the Earth curve calculator, because of what it actually is, and you've been disseminating that to us for a period of time now, you can utilize the same back calculation to establish a horizontal. Because where the horizon is as a calculation as the differential between eye level and surface level, once you have that horizon, you can back calculate it into a horizontal. Is that correct?
What John is stating, one second, John. What John is stating, right, I know I'm kind of talking for him, but what John is stating is you can create a depression angle with your curve calculator because you're not referencing below mean sea level in a horizontal. You're referencing a depression angle to
Well, they're not doing that in the Earth curve calculator either. That's the problem. You have this function they do, and then there's two sides to it. There's one that you calculate the angle to the horizon to establish a horizontal based on altitude, and then you have what the anti-flat earthers do with it, and then that's calculate physical obstruction. They're not the same thing.
Okay, there's still a lot to unpack. I don't fully understand this. But I'm going to shout out a couple of super chats. I'm really sorry to interrupt you guys. Shout out to Godzilla. He says, okay, fine. Let's say he trips into the hole because his feet weren't actually where he saw them. Refraction caused his fall. Better? I mean, you can try and, strategize getting away with murdering my super chat if you want to, Godzilla. But I don't know, in reality, I do see where my feet are, and I don't assume that they're not where I think they are. And Craig is the same. He's just trying to, rationalize away his pain in that regard. So, I don't know. But feel free to keep super chatting me these ideas and justifying how your thought processes work, Godzilla. Really appreciate the support. Also, shout out to Flat Earth Travolta, who says, the Earth curve calculator has the radius of the Earth hard-coded as a constant in the JavaScript. Hashtag begging the question. Yeah, absolutely. You're going to need R. It was debunked with the Black Swan in 2020. Also, shout out to Rinsler, who's given a couple of super chats. I was a tactical boat leader. I was into the height of eye calculations to horizon for line of sight purposes, so I can know approximately when or how I might detect contacts. 2015. Okay, he goes on. It was apparently not a precise science in actually balancing reality with radars, FLIE or FLIR, and math. Thank you very much for the super chats, Rinsler. Really, really, really appreciate it. Also, Flat Earth Travolta just gifted 5 memberships, so they've all been snapped up straight away. Really appreciate all the support, guys. Thank you very much indeed. We've come up on about an hour, and we will continue with John's explanation, which I don't fully understand, so hopefully over time we'll get a bit of a better idea. But as was discussed in the pre-show, let's just do this super chat as well. Shout out to James Richard. The Earth is flat. So what is Earth Curve Calculator really calculating? The differential between eye level and surface level. James Richard, thank you for the super chat. I'm going to continue and I'm just going to see if I can stress this computer and make it fall over. But I've thrown everything I've got at it today to see if I can get it stabilised, and I want to keep the live show going as it's a bit more stressful, just so I can hopefully make it fall over. That does mean that we won't necessarily cover any more of this video, because we might have a computer crash. But with that, I'm going to say, first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a member, and all that good stuff. Now, as weird as this sounds, there's not going to be an outro played because I'm going to continue live, and as will the discussion. But hopefully the people in the panel are now put into that ease of mood like we're in an after show, even though, strictly speaking, we'll still be live with a bit of game footage going in as conversation in the background. Also, shout out to Flat Earth Travolta, who says, if we keep super chatting, then he can't end the show. I'm not going to end the show. So there we go. You guys can talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to see if I can stress this computer now. We've done a full hour, which I'm very pleased about.
Yeah, to add some clarity to what was being said earlier by John, I understand exactly what John's saying. The angle, the dip angle from the eye line to what they're calling their geometric horizon, right? Let's just keep their refraction out of it, just their geometric horizon. That dip, because they can't, there's no dip to a refracted horizon because, it's not geometric. That dip, right, also involves the distance for that eye height between the person's feet at the shore to the horizon. Now, they can't calculate that dip, right, without making that distance horizontal. That distance that can't be a chord line. They try and fool people into this. That can't be a chord line. That has to be a horizontal. So what they're doing is the distance to the horizon changes mathematically. It changes in reality, but it changes mathematically to adhere to a certain model within their claims. But that's still a dip angle that is a depression angle that you're solving for. And that depression angle has a horizontal baseline. Now, the fact that you can see on a horizon further away mathematically and right within the model, when you go higher, is what they called an obstruction. That's what John is talking about.
Perfect.
So it's a load of depression angles.
You need a plug after that.
Go on.
I'm just going to plug you. Brian's Logic is the name of the YouTube channel. Brian, you are on fire, mate. You are getting more and more concise. So you'll sort of, while you're forming your words at the start of these processes, when you're telling us about this stuff, it kind of comes out in a flow that isn't that consistent. Right now, you are absolutely on fire. You're so consistent and so concise. Excellent. I just want to plug you. So go and subscribe to Brian's Logic. You said earlier, it's the first time you've said that. I was going to be sarcastic at the time when you were like, I'm going to plug myself. But when you first started making more consistent videos, you were like, I don't want people to come and subscribe to me. I don't want to plug myself. Whereas today, for the first time ever, you were like, I'm going to plug myself today. And damn right you should. People should all be subscribed to Brian because he's absolutely ace. And he can figure out this stuff and figure out a way of disseminating it to me, which says a lot to the point where I can understand it, which is saying a lot. It does take a lot for me to understand some of this stuff. 10 occasions of you repeating it in a way that's concise for me to get my head around it. And I want people to be subscribed to you. So go and subscribe to Brian's Logic immediately because you'll learn a lot. I do. I watch his videos and I love them. So also shout out to Godzilla37. Very helpful advice, Godzilla. He says, to make the computer crash, just knock it off the desk. Yeah, that's not exactly what I mean. Thank you for the super chat, though. Really appreciate the support. Subscribe today, Brian's Logic.
Thanks, Nathan.
I hear Brian's brighter than the sun.
you thinking of some distant star?
That's a non-physicality bias.
Now I'm thinking, when I came in, I heard you guys talking about how stars are brighter than the sun. Now I got to go get some star glasses.
We need to cover this again, John, in terms of what the practical application. As soon as I heard you describing any practical application for a curve calculator, that I'm all in on. You know, that is something I want to hear more about and understand.
It's not a curve calculator at that point. You're just using it to establish a horizontal, survey.
So I thought I was on mute. I was just laughing at
this.
this super chat. I thought I was on mute. I might as well just read out straight while I'm chuckling. Shout out to all of Brian's simps. I give it a super chat.
Yeah, I've a load of them.
They're not simps. I'm one of Brian's simps, if you want to categorize it that way. And I'm proud to be a Brian's Logic simp, if you're going to call it that.
Me too.
No, I only have simps on
Brian is fam. It's way beyond simp. Brian is fam.
Brian is
Thank you,
8.
chocolate.
I don't know. That was a bit too black. Can you whiten up that language a bit? Fam. What the hell does that mean?
Brian is family.
Oh, family. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, but I don't understand ghetto.
Can you
You should visit one day.
Son of a bitch! I tried to get that in there, and he fucking cocked.
Anyway, we'll cover this again.
Random fucking statement.
Go ahead, QE.
Go on.
Well, I was going to say we must cover this again because I don't understand it. I don't fully get it, John.
Shit, man. Keep going. What video
I'll
you
bring
doing?
out a video about it.
Cool. I'll wait for the buck. What video you going over?
We were going over Michio Kaku. We did it a little bit in the pre-show. We'll probably do it in the after show.
Michio Kaku, you haven't finished Mortimer.
When I look back at my thumbnails, right, it's just non-stop Mortimer. I mean, anybody in the audience want another Mortimer thumbnail? I'm going to go with no more Mortimer.
No, QE said you could stop at the third one instead of all 7, and the third one was the end one, I thought.
I honestly think the gods were saying no more as well. That's why the computer kept crashing. It was like, I'm just not having it. I'm going to make the computer crash. I'm sick of this.
There's only so much stupid that anything can put up with. And
So you're not going to go over the last Mortimer because of thumbnails. Is that what you're saying?
No, he did gravity and density, I thought. I had to leave early,
yeah.
but he was doing it.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, we did.
No, you didn't.
We did yesterday. We had an extensive discussion on gravity. Did we not?
You did not go over that video yesterday.
We did.
Not the whole thing.
Not the whole thing, but we went over it and talked extensively about gravity.
You only went over 1 minute of 14 minutes.
That's about average for an hour show.
All right.
We kind of stopped when he kind of shot his face off after talking about.
He shoots his face off every other second, but
I
understand because you got like 25 different topics going on, and we forget that there's even a video up, right?
Nathan, you need to tell him to do it on his own.
True.
Me tell QE. I'm not going to tell QE anything. I'm not his boss.
Well, he did the same thing today. I said, let's start in the pre-show because this one's going to take the whole show to get through. And then he stops in the show, even though I gave him a head start. I mean, Michio Kaku claiming he has photographs of the black hole.
Right, a couple more super chats, shout outs. So shout out to James Richard, who said, there's an Earth curve calculator and the Earth has never been measured. Yeah, why is it no Atmo Day? Thanks for the super chat, James Richard. Really appreciate the support. Also, Unitox Femu. If you want to prove globe, you need to debunk logic. Debunk logic? You need to measure a flat Earth. But thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate the support, Sasha.
Think about how silly that is, right? That we had to make something like that up and call it No Atmo Day. Why did that come up again? Because after the Black Swan, we were told that the only way you could see this supposed geometric horizon that's supposedly blocking boats and buildings at a distance, the only way you could see that is if we had no atmosphere. Oh man.
Sounds like their geometry's broken.
I'll never forget the
Little bit.
conversation with QE. So, because I didn't understand the argument, there's only one reason for this happening, which is why it amuses me now. But me suggesting to QE, like, day 2 or something of the argument, look, check it out. Someone's giving me a different black swan that's got no refraction in it. The cranes aren't distorted in it. It's clear. It's a better picture. It's a better black swan. And QE was like really nonchalant. Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, whatever. I'm like, well, why don't you use that? Why didn't you use this in the first place? You know, they keep saying refraction. And then QE kind of laughed and went, yeah, I want them to say refraction. I'm like, what? And he obviously, by then I appreciated that the argument was about the horizon, but that was my legitimacy for moaning. I'm like, I want them to focus on the actual argument. It's about the horizon, not about the cranes. He's like, no, but by getting them to admit that everything's always refracted, it means that their geometry dies. They're snatching their own wig off in essence, but I just hadn't spotted that day 2 or 3 of the argument. All I knew was the argument was sound in logic. You can't measure a geometric horizon beyond its geometric limitations. The cranes are bending. Oh, bloody hell, this is just a distraction from the argument. No, QE's genius, because fast forward 3 years. What's that tune? What's that? Straight line to the horizon? No. We needed them to admit that it was all refracted because that debunks the geometry. That's the end of the Earth curve claim. Well, you know, that was how the argument was going to go because people smarter than I came up with the argument, namely QE.
Yeah, that was some 4D chess going on there.
Yeah, they're playing checkers.
It's
QE was
insane.
playing chess. Exactly.
It's insane how it actually turned out. Like the fact that they completely relinquished their geometry, that they told us that we would never see that, we wouldn't expect to see it, we would never see it, being that we have an atmosphere. Like the responses that Flatsoy just did a video on some dude who I don't know how old that video was that he did, but the guy's still talking about the cranes, the bendy cranes.
Yeah, these people are thick. I mean, if you ignore the drongos, right, you've got people like Toon, who back in 2020 when the Black Swan came out, would have never imagined that it'd have some flat earther yelling, "There's no straight line to the globe, idiot!" Or Sinclair going, what's that you say? Straight lines? Got him, lads, got him. No way would they have imagined by saying refraction that that's where they'd have ended up 3 years later. No way. But like I say, they're playing checkers. QE was playing chess.
Y'all said geometry. Do they have geometry if they're calculating everything from a flat plane?
They've got flat plane geometry.
But if you have geometry, why would you quote refraction? That sounds more of an optical effect than a geometric effect.
Well, if you want to snatch your own wig off, you might as well do it in style and destroy every bit of globe geometry you're claiming. Why not?
Yeah, sure.
I'm not willing to give them geometry anymore. No, they don't have any geometry.
You don't have to give it to them. They took it back. Like they sort of had it when they said, "Oh yeah, look at this boat. It's being blocked by physical curve." Fast forward years later. Nah. We can't see that. We can never see that. We have atmosphere, guys.
You're not hearing what John's saying. You're not listening. He's saying, I'm not going to give them geometry. What does that mean? Well, it's because it's ours. He means give them our geometry. They're taking flat Earth geometry to assert that we've got a curve. It makes no sense. Gotcha. It's ours. So John's saying, no. Next time you assert your curve geometry, I'm not going to give it you. What do you mean you're not going to give it me? Well, it's mine. It's not yours. It's flat Earth that you're talking about there. Let me show you how. See this surface level? See that dotted line? That's surface level. You see your curve, it's below the surface level. Yeah, that's not something you can see. What's that? It only exists in the maths. Yeah, in this flat Earth maths. That's where your Earth curve claim only exists. But it doesn't exist in geometry either, because this geometry is geometry of a flat Earth. So no, we're not going to give it you. It's ours. Yes, John, excellent point. Why the hell should we? Earth is obviously, observably, measurably, navigatably flat. And every assertion that there's a globe somehow in existence comes from those measurements. So almost everything you'll find as a flat earther comes from a flat earth originally. And they have to ad hom the crap out of you to get around that fact.
And they think they have a model because they think they have geometry. They just need to tear it all apart.
Yeah, they have an Earth curve calculator, not an Earth curve measure, or if you understand what I mean. There's nowhere in that calculator that shows you or tells you how this measurement happened or how you can make the measurement. It just calculates what the measurement would be if we lived on their model or in their model that they can show us.
No, you're still not getting what John say. Even if you take that model and reify it, the description of their Earth curve that they're assuming isn't Earth curve as described, visually represented, refracted, or otherwise, because the marked with an X labelled horizon claimed to be Earth curve in the model, not capable of reification, because it exists below surface level. You can't reify the Earth curve maths, I think is John's point.
But that was my point.
You did make that point a couple of weeks ago. I'll grant you that.
But the point the point I'm making is they have a calculator. It calculates your model.
Not a measurer.
Yes, not a measurer. A calculator.
Yeah, you can't measure
geometry.
You can't measure their geometry. Why is it no Atmo Day? They haven't got a tangent, even in their model.
What model?
Exactly.
Yeah. There is no model. When I put it up on screen yesterday and said I was referring to the model as in the Earth curve calculator, it's not. It's ours. It's a flat Earth calculation. What you infer from it is irrelevant because it's not reality, but a derivation of reality in terms of eye level versus surface level. That's all you've got. That's our geometry, not yours. You're not having it.
So maybe it should now be the proof, begging the question, proof of flat Earth, perspective hijacking curve calculator.
Nah, that doesn't work.
No, we're not using it to make positive assertions.
out.
We're just saying that it's using our geometry, regardless of what they utilize it for. Well, that's using our flat Earth geometry, I'm afraid.
It's the level differential calculator. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Because it calculates the differential between eye level and surface level.
Yeah, what was that again? The level differential calculator. That's a good title.
Yeah.
But that is what we're talking about. We're talking about flat Earth geometry. Because Earth's flat. And all roads lead to a flat Earth. There's a reason we've got such a high level of ridicule. But there's also a reason why we have to exist. Because if all geometry is based on flat Earth prerequisite, then you can't obliterate it from all existence. So you have to have this balance of us existing in ridicule. It's weird. It's a weird existence as a flat earther in 2023.
Did you forget about the guy that said he gave the reason why we exist, right? The Glober, who told the rest of his Glober pals that you guys have falsely been running around saying that you could actually see this curvature, enhancing the flat Earth community. Remember that guy? I don't remember his name. It's one of these numpty videos we watched. But yeah, he basically blamed his own side, saying you guys are running around saying you can see this curve. You can't. You guys are the reason flat earthers are expanding.
I don't remember that. He said that because we were in opposition to people who said you can see curve when you can't, and he was a glober.
Yes, he was one of the videos we did. I think like a week ago.
I remember it, Chocolate.
You remember it? Because I made a whole thing about it. Like I'm still making about it.
Okay.
It was hilarious. That guy who said, "Make it stop." Remember, make it stop.
Oh yeah, make it stop. Ah, 10.
Bill Whittle.
Yes, indeed. How can I forget? He's my replacement for conspiracy cats. Make it stop. Make it stop.
Pull it up. Go find it.
No. I was just about to segue onto what you asked me to pull up earlier. So there's actually QE got me to bring up this video, and I did prompt it, but you wanted to hear the bit from Craig when he talks about... Oh, bugger. I know what I've done wrong there. Ah, damn you. I pressed the button that I didn't intend to when I had it all queued up. Ugh. Okay, well, I was going to segue across to this video, but it looks like that's going to take a couple more seconds. But why did you want it? You wanted Craig saying something...
Yeah, remember...
Be sure to correct them. They're wrong. We definitely don't have a geomet with the black swan.
After all that...
You owe in that answer, MC. Why is it all straight lines?
It is a good point.
Why is that a problem? There's no problem with it being all straight lines.
Because all the flat earthers spout these things like, oh, there should be a bulge of water, blah, blah, blah.
The assertion that we should have a bulge obstruction at the horizon is definitely a sphere claim.
And it muddies the water of what the actual truth of the matter is.
The truth of the matter being there is a positive assertion that we do have a bulge on a sphere Earth, you assume, based on an R value we debunked with the black swan.
Okay, there you go.
The reason why I didn't really want you to play it. I just want you to send it to me because I'm definitely going to play it. Because he said he's claiming that the bulge claim came from flat earthers. So I don't know. Is Mick West a flat earther?
Yes, he is, John.
No. Expand on that. Yes, he is, and John's going to explain why.
Okay.
Yeah, heliocentrism is an anti-flat Earth religion, but it is predicated on a flat Earth. Yeah, they're all flat earthers. It's just a really weird flat Earth cult that they all join.
It's a bit like if Mormons hated Catholics for the sake of argument. Similar sort of thing. If the Christianity aspect was the flat Earth aspect by comparison, it's like one section of Christianity hating another section of Christianity, even though they're both based on the same thing.
No, they're not. Mormonism is not Christianity.
It doesn't matter. It's not that important that I get something very close to your heart right. Bloody hell. Does it matter?
It has nothing to do with my heart. They got the wrong God. They got the wrong Christ. They got everything wrong. But that's not the point. The point is...
Look, fine. Whether or not you want to accept looking into the hat at the golden tablets is neither in or there.
No, that's not the point. The point is that they have to use flat Earth in order to have globe reified.
So hold on a second, Nathan. So you'll steal what I was going to do anyway. When you play that video of Craig saying that, then you go ahead and pull up what's in Master B right now, right after he gets done saying it.
Yeah, the Earth curve calculator with Mick West referenced on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did do that. Last time it played out, when Adam was also playing it with a load of echo in the background, I did actually pause it and add that in. But yeah, it needs to be specifically referenced to Mick West. In the original video, it's just the one I happened to find to copy to put into this one about Toon. I happened to pick the shorts version, which had it all trimmed off at the edges. It's just the way it goes.
I'll trim it up.
You say you're going to play that tonight, so we're still live. There is a Quantum Eraser show.
No. What? I didn't say I was going to play it tonight. No.
He's asking you to play it. He just put in Master D.
Okay, ruining a perfectly good plug for your own show, but there we go. So there is a Quantum Eraser live tonight, and as we are still live, thank God the computer hasn't given up the ghost, be here or be Sphere on the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel at 7 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Eastern.
No.
I don't know.
What a plug. What a plug.
I knew he was going to fuck it up. That's why I let him go.
Go on, there. You give me the times, the American times. 7 p.m. UK is right, though.
Yeah, it's my afternoon. That's 1 p.m. U.S. Central, 7 p.m. UK, with Nathan's favorite topic, Coriolis effect. Now, I'm going to stress one important point from the Coriolis effect presentation, and I'm going to try my best to have flat earthers get it, because I don't think they've been getting it. So we'll try. How about that?
Going to read out a comment. You know, when you I do my comments in the morning, and I'm not necessarily fully awake when I do my comments. So if you ever read any strange replies to comments in YouTube from me, It's because I do them about 6:30 a.m. with kids screaming at me. Anyway, so some of them might be a bit off. But sometimes there's gold in there because for whatever reason, when I'm in that kind of semi-euphoric state, just waking up, I can sometimes phrase things in a way that I can't when I'm thinking about them too hard, if that makes sense. And today was one of those instances where somebody who wasn't even combative, I think they might have even been a flat earther, was saying that there was, quote, an actual force of Coriolis in a geocentric world. Now, without necessarily paraphrasing what I think the person meant, I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do is go through my comment to them, or my response to them, just verbally now, if you'll all indulge me. So I'll just read out the whole lot. So my recent comment replied to a claim that a geocentric Earth has a, quote, actual force of Coriolis, end quote. Okay, my response. Coriolis is, and always will be, an apparent, meaning not real, deflection observed as you turn beneath an inertial frame of reference. There is no real force of a tree branch coming towards you as you rotate beneath it on a merry-go-round. As the tree hits you, the force was not the tree coming to get you. That force of the tree coming closer and then hitting you was an illusion. This effect can only happen if you turn underneath. The illusion of the evil tree coming to get you is apparent. That is to say, you saw the tree coming to get you, then hit you. This was, in reality, the effect of you turning underneath the tree. You are non-inertial. That means part of the merry-go-round. So as far as you are concerned, you are not moving. The tree is. Coriolis illusion can never be a force. Hope this helps. That was it. In the show, I've always over-dramatised that by going, oh no, the tree is coming to get me. Yeah, the tree's not moving. You're on a roundabout turning towards a branch of the tree, and then when you hit into the tree branch, because your feet are firmly planted on the roundabout merry-go-round, as far as you are concerned, you're not moving. You're just stationary, sat perfectly still, and then the scary tree comes to get you. But it's not the tree coming to get you, it's you rotating beneath the tree to see that illusion of the tree coming to get you. But that illusion, tree coming to get you, is because you're turning beneath. So to have this effect, the point being, in order for there to be any Coriolis effect describable ever, you must be turning underneath an inertial reference frame. That's to say, for Earth to have Coriolis effect, Earth must be turning underneath an inertial reference frame. And the inertial reference frame would be anything not attached to Earth. And that's their claim. That's their claim. 15 degrees an hour drift as Earth turns underneath, that's Coriolis. They're saying Earth turns underneath. It doesn't. And when you point out it doesn't, you end up in globiolus claims of Earth and atmosphere moving together, one reference frame. Simon Dan telling me that my reference frames are ruined, when you need two of them to claim that Earth's turning underneath. It just isn't.
Brian, London to Akragana. Where do they have to aim the flight in order to land there if the plane is not attached to the Earth?
If the Earth was rotating, then a flight that is normally direct north to south and is just over 3,000 miles long. If the Earth was a globe and it was rotating, then they would have to travel over 6,000 miles, and they could not go north to south. They'd have to head for South Asia to reach Akragana 6.5 hours later from London.
Well, what if you have an actual deviation and you invent a reference frame that doesn't exist to describe that as Coriolis? Is that Coriolis?
No, that is not Coriolis.
Just to clarify, the reason why I use London to Accra is because within their own claims, their own globiolus claims, there is a deviation north to south and south to north. The globiolus claims only mathematically helps them east to west and west to east, but it doesn't do anything north to south and south to north. And that's why you use London to Accra, because the globe Earth is still moving at 15 degrees per hour, but the latitudes are changing in size, increasing in size between London and Accra. So there is no way around it that Accra 6.5 hours later has to have gone off to the east, gone west to east a certain amount, 6.5 hours of rotation. That means that the plane that's flying from London can fly within their model, cannot fly a direct north-south course and cover only just over 3,000 miles. The plane has to travel an east-southeast course and travel over 6,000 miles. And none of them can go against that. They can't argue that's what has to happen, even within globiolus.
Quick shout out to Sensual Goat. I think he's actually on the Discord panel. Thank you for the super chat. So it's crazy to hear some Scot claiming he's uprising, or whatever. That crazy lot up there think they are doing. I bet the Netflix producers are licking their lips. #thanks Dell, because you weren't up to date with the flat earth debate. Thank you very much for the super chat, Sensual Goat. Really appreciate the support.
I just want to point out that quantum erasure.
Hold on a second. Back to the Coriolis effect. It's directionless.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with the London to Accra flight. That's an actual deviation. There is no Coriolis effect involved in anything I say about that. That's the whole point of it. I completely bypass Coriolis and globiolus to give them what has to be an actual deviation in reality if their model was correct. That's the point.
Isn't that funny how they do that though? Like, I know what you mean, right? Because some of them have said, oh, there would be no effect east to west. The effect is only seen north to south. Oh, okay. Can you show that? No. So, okay, there goes your effect that you can't show us, but you keep asserting that it happens north to south, even though your ball is spinning west to east. So I don't know how you think that wouldn't make any difference, but okay, keep going.
You see, my attitude on it was that they want you to argue with them about Coriolis so they can convolute it with globiolus, and they want to bring you around in a circle and avoid the fact that if there was a rotation of the Earth, then there's no way that it could not rotate on any airplanes flying from Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles. That could not happen, right? But they want to convolute things. So I take all those things away by the London to Accra flight. It was an example I used years ago, and I kind of changed it and went arguing about Coriolis, and I went back to it because they can't. It's an actual deviation even within their claims, within their model. It's an actual deviation. So there's no even point in them bringing up Coriolis because there's nothing to do with it. It's an actual deviation, not an apparent one, and it does happen within our model. And even Neil deGrasse Tyson, when he said that field goal that won the Super Bowl, he calculated it based off of the north-south.
It wasn't the Super Bowl.
I'd like to see that model, by the way.
It wasn't the Super Bowl.
I can't show you that. Sorry, Ted?
It wasn't the Super Bowl, Brian. It was just a game.
Oh, well, I keep getting it wrong. Look, Neil deGrasse Tyson calculated a field goal win.
Yes.
And he used north to south deviation, actual deviation for his calculation, because there is a north to south and south to north actual deviation within their model's claims, or the claims they make about their model. That's why I use London to Accra, because it has to be a deviation, an actual deviation that they can't get around by trying to convolute it with globiolus. They're trying to get you into a debate about Coriolis, because there's nothing to do with Coriolis.
It dies at their model, though. You're right. But it dies at their so-called model. We need to see that. But at first, we need to see the model first.
Yeah, we do.
Right, and we also need a radius value for this so-claimed model. How are they getting that?
Okay, there is something I do,
the flat ground that we live on.
I do want to cover this because QE will hopefully cover this in his live show tonight, which is to say that recently, or not maybe so recently, but Quantum Eraser did a presentation on how to debate Coriolis with a globe believer, and his main overriding point in that presentation, that specific presentation, was to focus on the cause of Coriolis effect, because it's really easy to lose track when you're talking about a conceptual world that we don't live in with a real effect that we can observe. Now, when I say real effect, I don't mean that there's an actual deviation. I mean, you can observe things seem to come towards you if you're on a roundabout, like with my tree example. The tree still smacks you in the face if you're turning underneath a tree branch on a roundabout. Well, that is apparent. That is to say that you can see it if you're turning beneath on a roundabout. Well, if Earth is turning beneath is the main thing to focus on, because it's the first thing they will try and deny and convolute, because we don't see the effects that would be induced from Earth turning beneath. But that is what Coriolis requires. So the causes of a Coriolis effect, regardless of what's inducing it, turning Earth or turning roundabout, need to be understood for you to be able to competently argue the Coriolis effect. Once you understand that to have Coriolis effect, you must be turning underneath, observing it seem to drift. Now, when Brian says, no, actual drift. Well, yeah, in reality, if a plane is flying in a straight line over a turning Earth, then it's going to have the continent it's flying towards coming towards it, shortening its flight times. That's actual deviation of a flight path that should take 4 hours from Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles down to an hour and a half if Earth is turning underneath. The problem comes that because that does not happen, that's not the end of the argument. That's the start of them telling you how Earth shouldn't turn underneath and that you're strawmanning them. Or, if you're a complete idiot like Simon Dan, telling me that my reference frames are ruined. Because Coriolis, their globe claim of it, comes with Earth turning underneath, that they immediately need to deny because we don't see the effects that would be induced if that was the case. So you have to focus on the Coriolis causes to be able to competently argue Coriolis effect on a turning Earth that does not happen.
And to get it back to the radial value, can you have a non-inertial turning reference frame without a radial value?
No, you need that radius value to assert it mathematically, calculate it into existence or otherwise in physical reality. If you're going to describe a turning reference frame, you need a radial value. Earth doesn't have that. We debunked it.
You know, that long before we started calling it globulus, like I used to sit and wonder, like, why, when they come here, are they arguing for Earth not rotating underneath? You know, I used to think, well, that's what's supposed to be happening in their so-called model. Why would they ever fight against that? And then when you just realize it's because that conflicts with reality, right? In reality, the effects that they say that would happen if they had a globe spinning don't happen. So they have to literally tell you it is happening while they can't prove that it's happening, but believe that it's happening anyway. It's like a form of insanity that has started realizing, like, what the hell? What's wrong with them? Why aren't they supposed to be coming here and showing us this Coriolis instead of just talking about how we can't see it or all these factors that would be necessary for it to exist? Shouldn't I just be able to go outside, look at the plane and say, oh shit, look at that apparent deviation because I'm spinning underneath?
Yeah, problem is we're definitely not turning underneath. That's why they immediately need to convolute it into a globulus effect where Earth and atmosphere move together, and we don't see Coriolis effect. So yeah, understanding what Coriolis effect is, and be here or be sphere for Quantum Eraser's live show tonight on the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel. But with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. Fortunately, I can do a proper outro as we have actually survived this live stream in all of its intensity. So another massive thank you to all of you. Smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, gifted out memberships, hit the PayPal link, and all that good stuff. Stay tuned if you are watching on an after show. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
fucking day.